Now that we have an idea of why we do statistics, right, to study us, to learn about our world, and the forms of studies that are created so that we can trust the data or trust the statistics that we end up doing, we go to chapter 2 or module 2 now and look at what we do with the data that we get from our variables or the data we get from the observational or experimental units. So one way to think about data, of course, is the data comes from the units, the things we're studying. That data comes in different forms, in quantitative or qualitative forms, right? Those variables, right? Those characteristics from the units. And then what we do is we organize this data after we collect it from a certain amount of people, hopefully a large enough group and representative sample that we can trust that the data is randomized in some way and representative. What we do is we organize this raw data, that's just all the messy data, and we organize it into a frequency table, and then we display that. A key word, I'm going to highlight it, a key word, right, to keep in mind is this word distribution. It gets used in statistics from now until the end of the class. What is a distribution? All it is all the possible values in our data and how often those values occur. So imagine you go on 100 dates, right? You're trying to meet someone, you go on 100 dates. You collect data and there will be some common questions that you ask. For example, you may ask, do you have any brothers or sisters? Well, what are all the possible values for that variable, right? The number of brothers and sisters or siblings someone has. What are all the possible values? And how often those values occur would be the distribution, right? You could imagine that in your head. You could also ask a yes or no question or a categorical question, such as, do you have a job? What are all the possible values for that, right? Answers. Those are the values. Yes, no, looking, maybe, unemployed. Again, there's a finite amount. So this idea of distribution, right, is going to be at the forefront of our work of the data. We want to know the distribution of our data, and that's what then tells a story. Some of the things that we learn from the distributions, right, what we care about are these frequencies, how often, relative frequencies is the same idea. It's just now we explain or we um, describe the data in terms of what we call a proportion or percentage. 50% of the people I went on a day with have a job. Or you say 50 out of 100, right? Instead of saying 22 people, right? I can use a proportion or percentage. And then cumulative frequency is another way of seeing how often values occur, right? When our values are quantitative. That's key, though, when it's quantitative. And we'll see is it's a way of tracking the data, right, as it grows, right? And it gives us a view of the frequency of values that are less than a certain amount of value. So we could say, how many people said they have 3 or fewer um, siblings? And then you would add up the people from 0, 1, 2, and 3, and that's a cumulative frequency, right? And then what we do is we then turn that into a frequency table, which we'll look at in the next video.